North-South Connection. Welcome back to the most extreme menage a trois violence ever experience here in the Extreme Three-Way Dance. JT, Jenny, and Matt go through the history of Extreme Championship Wrestling. We have made our way all the way into the late 1999, and we are a scant 14-ish months away from the end of ECW in our journey, but we're here to enjoy what remains on the road ahead. This podcast is simulcast, both audio and video on our YouTube channel, North-South Connection. Sure, subscribe there, or if you're more of an audio file and you're just happy to catch us on YouTube, you can listen to us over on any podcast application under North-South Connection. Check it out, as well as everything else we have to offer. So, how are you both doing here tonight?
I think Scant was in Raven's flock for a minute, wasn't he?
It might have been, yes.
Yeah.
Jenny, you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm fresh off a trip to New Orleans, which will kind of weird timing again on the show.
That's true. That is like a big, easy coincidence right there. But I'm glad you had a great trip and you're back healthy for us to continue this journey. So why don't we dive in? We got 4 weeks of TV tonight, but not really 4 full episodes. We got some recapping going on here, but we're going to get our way through mid-October tonight and start to inch toward November to Remember, which is a big one. So October 2nd, 1989, Hardcore Television. We open with Mike Awesome, a career music video. It's set to the ECW CD cover of The Zoo. The Zoo is actually Bam Bam Bigelow's theme, I believe. Again, we don't get a lot of the themes watching on the cock, but the ECW CD had cover versions of all like real metal and hard rock songs. So this is the one they use here. But they get our opening animation. RVD and Fonzie are backstage. Fonzie mentions Sabu, but RVD says this is his time. Sabu can speak for himself, but he can't. The fans want to see their favorite, RVD, and nobody else. So pretty kind of basic character shit for them. We then go to the ring for our opening match. It's tag action. Is Dangerous Danny Doring and Roadkill are in the ring, and they're here for tag action, and out comes Nova, and Joey Styles says Chris Chetty was injured at Anarchy Rules, which of course we covered at the time. Doran grabs the mic and tells Nova they've had some wars. Each side has won some, but Chetty's home icing his back and crying and weeping, and now Nova's stuck standing alone. Doran gives Nova a chance to get out of the ring, find someone in the back, and come take a licking, or they'll just whoop his ass. We see the footage from Anarchy Rules when Chetty got hurt. We come back, and Jazz is in the ring to team with Nova. So the official match is Nova and Jazz taking on Doring and Roadkill. All four brawl in the ring with Nova and Jazz controlling, cleaning house, or stooging around. Jazz nails Doring with a baseball slide. Nova flies into both of them with a crossbody off the top. Doring begs off. Jazz clubs away until Miss Congeniality hooks her leg and allows Doring to take over with the bareback. Doring punches away, stomps, and leads to loud asshole chants. Tags Roadkill, who hammers away on Jazz. Roadkill plants her with a sidewalk slam. Tags Doring, who works through some seductive offense and grabs a near fall. Jazz slips out of a pump handle, goes low on Doring. Both make tags while Joey says he can see why TNN didn't want this match. Nova comes in hot, cuts through both guys with some snap offense. Miss Congeniality slips in the ring and eats a TKO as the crowd's fired up. Doring cracks Nova from behind. He turns into a Jazz stinger and then bails out. Nova meets Doring with a pescado as Jazz works over Roadkill until Miss Congeniality clubs her from behind, and Roadkill finishes with the power slam. So fun TV match, red hot crowd, easy flow. Nova looks fantastic. Jazz is a good partner to offset, and Doring and Roadkill steal another win. Maddie, I went 2 stars, perfectly fine.
Yeah, I actually went 2.5 on this. A lot of it had to do with the crowd. I thought the crowd was really great during this, just red hot for everything. Jazz has been awesome since they turned her into a wrestler when she broke away from Credible and that whole crew. She's been great since they've been having her do this like in-ring stuff. So like more of this from Jazz. Like you could have her maybe even go even a bit higher than like this opening match type of stuff. So yeah, I mean, and the finish was great too. The crowd was red hot. So yeah, 2.5 for me, Jenny. This was really fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you, Maddie. I love Jazz. I think we're all kind of big Jazz fans now. It's cool to see her in a like kind of maybe a
Smooth
proper tag
Jazz.
team. It's smooth Jazz. Maybe in a proper team, like an intergendered team, which is really cool for me. So it was kind of basic as far as the wrestling, nothing crazy here, but I thought Jazz, held up, looked good amongst the guys, and I thought it was fun and did 2.5 as well.
Jazz is victorious. Back to the ring we go. Rhino is out with Steve Corino and Jack Victory. We get a highlight montage of this beast, and Joey Styles wonders why a monster like this would hang around with a guy like Corino. And he is taking on, making his ECW arena debut, the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels. Joey says he's well regarded on the indies. Daniels ducks and dances around Rhino, trying to bait him for grabbing a side headlock, some quick chain work. Rhino breaks free, crushes him with a shoulder block, and hammers away. Rhino works the arm. Daniels comes back with an elbow and a drop kick. Rhino flips Daniels to the apron. Daniels snaps him down, gets a slingshot splash for 2. Rhino gets a hard clubbing blow, but Daniels sidesteps the charge. Rhino flies over the top. Daniels meets him with a springboard crossbody to a pop. Back inside, Daniels gets to work, but Rhino cuts him off with a tilt-a-whirl pancake. Rhino splatters him on the mat again, or splatters him, down for 2. Goes to a surfboard. The crowd gets distracted by a fan fight as Rhino cuts off a comeback with a spine buster for a near fall. Rhino gets 2 on a face-first powerbomb, clubs some more as Corino is barking orders. Rhino knocks Daniels outside and meets him with a nice pescado. Back in, Daniels crotches Rhino on the top and gets a super sidewalk slam. Daniels gets a boot up on a charge and a neck breaker for 2, and then he shoves Daniels off the top, but misses a top rope splash. Daniels hits a face-first powerbomb. Victory ties up the ref, and Corino slips in with a super kick, and Rhino mashes Daniels with a powerbomb to pick up the win. Very good. A nice debut for Daniels, who already has a great presence and confidence in the ring. He showed off some good offense and got kind of a tough crowd in his corner as things went on. He also looked good in losing with Rhino needing help from Corino. Rhino looks great as always, and you could argue he should have rampaged here, but they do talk up he's young, so needing some help from Corino does make sense in a way too. So I thought it was fine. Overall, Johnny went 3 stars, and I was a really strong debut for Daniels.
I was very interested in this match because I've seen a little bit of Daniels before, not a lot, but yeah, a good pairing, I think, putting him with Rhino for his first match, even though Rhino basically kicks his fucking ass the entire match. I thought he might get a little bit more shine, but it does, like you said, come at the end where he does need help to pick up the win. But I love the audio sucks for this match. Not sure what was going on. I feel like there's audio issues kind of throughout these episodes. So I felt Joey was a little hard to hear, but he does ask why what's his face is still in the wheelchair, which I thought was pretty hilarious. Why would we do the spike run in? It was a little bit like, what's the point here? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's fine anytime, but yeah, I did the 3 stars as well. It's a good match, Maddie.
Yeah, I went 2 3/4 on this. Was not expecting to see Daniels pop up in ECW, but here we are. Him with hair is not a thing he should have.
Yeah.
That's a battle he's losing. He needs to get rid of that immediately. Holy shit. Just very weird to see a non-bald Daniels. But yeah, I mean, Rhino's been super impressive every time they've given him a chance to shine when he's, able to wrestle and not just be like Corino's muscle. He's been super fun in the ring, and this was great too. They gave Daniels a decent amount of shine, I thought too. Now, eventually Rhino fucking killed him, but I think when they did have Daniels get the shine, I thought he looked really good. So yeah, very fun, kind of out of nowhere match I was not expecting. So 2 3/4 for me.
What was Daniels doing? Did Joey cover that?
I think he was mainly doing like in just Northeast Indie stuff, right? Or actually, he's West Coast, right? So probably some West Coast.
West Coast, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But he's not like a rookie. Like he's been kind of
probably
around for a little bit.
Like he hasn't broken out.
He looked experienced to me. Like he didn't look like.
Yeah. I think he's been around for a minute.
I know he doesn't like really break out until a couple of years later, but like I think this might have been like his first match on national TV, if I had to guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he started training in '93. Went to Puerto Rico for a while, did some NWA regional stuff. He actually signed a developmental deal with WWF in '98.
That's right.
And then, I mean, his real big stuff, really. I mean, WCW in the dying days, he kind of pops up.
Right.
But then Ring of Honor is really where he takes off in the early 2000s. And then TNA. So
TNA is what I know him from.
Yeah, he actually had a pretty good interview with him back on Place to Be. That if you look back at the Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network archives, Scott and I had a pretty good discussion with him.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah. All right, Jenny referenced it. Out comes Spike Dudley. Highway to Hell fires up, hits an ass drop and pins Rhino with 1 foot. And this this really pissed me off too. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
like all right,
Yeah.
we just saw Rhino pretty much go 50-50 with basically a rookie jobber. So it's like that's already a little on the line. And then to have Spike just come out and, squash is like, I'm fine with it for Sal,
Right.
one man gang, Rod Price, like whatever jobbers you want to feed to him, scrubs, whatever. But like Rhino's an up and comer. We're really working hard to build him as a monster. Like, I don't know. I get it with Spike, but it would just Spike and New Jack and a few others are kind of in like the ECW version of Bushwhackers territory. And I don't mean that in the fact that they're like goofy. They're still doing the extreme hardcore stuff, but they don't really have like an angle or much going on. They just come out to do their shtick to pop the crowd. 911, right? Used to do, so I was like,
yep.
If you want to just give the crowd a pop for Spike to take someone out with an acid drop,
Yeah.
I just think we can do better than hurting Rhino. So I went dud, but yeah.
Yeah, I forgot you had broken it up. My bad, because my notes were like all in that same match.
No, you're good.
So didn't mean to go prematurely on that. But yeah, I was confused by it. I'm like, whatever. I mean, I always like to see Spike. I just would kind of not see it here on Rhino.
Yeah, I mean, not much more to add. You hit the nail on the head, JT. Like, it's fine if you're doing it at the expense of, like, fucking Mabel or whoever, but to do it at the expense of Rhino, just a guy who you're really building up lately, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I also went done on it.
We get a quick highlight video of Tammy Sytch. Joey says, it seemed like she dropped off the face of the earth, but the big news is Tammy returns to wrestling and ECW on TNN on Friday nights, and we'll be covering that in detail soon. Paul takes us to a long recap of the history of the ECW Championship, leading to the shocking win of our new King of Extreme, Mike Awesome, at Anarchy Rule. That was a pretty good video. I mean, it's really just, again, time filler, eating up some space, and yeah. So there you go. All right, to our main event we go. Is Super Crazy is taking on Jerry Lynn. A very cool match on paper here. Crazy hits the ring to a pop. It's our main event in Plymouth. Joey pops in the nest, sets up a big match as Lynn has bruised ribs from the Impact players attacking him at the arena. Lynn is out to loud ECW chants after the break. We're underway with the lockup, some chain work. Crazy controls the leg. They continue to trade off control until we get a flurry of charges. Lynn sneaks into tilt-a-whirl head scissors and a tilt-a-whirl power slam for 2. Crazy regroups. Lynn's all over him, punches into a gory special. Crazy slips free, but Lynn snags him to a backbreaker for 2. Lynn chops away, but Crazy slingshots Lynn over the top, hard into his ribs. Lynn flips Crazy to the apron, hits a springboard drop kick to knock him to the floor. Lynn meets him with a pescado, but both guys are slow to get up. Back inside, we get a series of quick counters into a big Super Crazy backdrop and springboard drop kick. That knocks Lynn to the floor. Crazy follows an acai to a big pop. Back inside, gets a moonsault for 2. Crazy locks into a rolling surfboard. He wrenches back hard. Crazy peppers Lynn in the corner, but Lynn walks into a powerbomb for 2. Lynn gets a sit-out powerbomb for 2, stalks Crazy to the corner, pushes him to the top rope, and slugs away. Crazy fights him off. He goes into a sunset flip powerbomb for 2. Crazy gets a boot up on a charge. It's a tornado DDT and a quebrada for a great near fall. Lynn recovers with a small package for 2, but Crazy comes back with chops, slams Lynn hard on the mat, gets a moonsault, tries a second, but he gets the knees. And after a quick series of counters, Lynn hits a cradle pile driver for the clean win to a super fun and hot match. As expected, it was a killer pace, high impact offense, just 2 TV warriors throwing down with a clean finish. Lynn stays hot with a high quality victory, shows off in a fresh matchup, and the ECW upper card continues to just crackle at a fantastic clip right now. So I went 3.5 on this match. It was a hidden gem, and I'm glad it delivered on the promise it had on paper.
Yeah, so I went 3 1/4 on it, and it was good, but at the same time, given who was involved, I was kind of disappointed by it, which is weird for a 3 1/4 match. Like,
I feel like on pay-per-view, I'd agree with you, but I think TV from Plymouth, Michigan, I think it probably did hit its mark.
Who are you to doubt Plymouth, Michigan is a wonderful town, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I guess so. Like, I think if this was a pay-per-view match, it would have had more time, so that certainly probably would have helped too. But I don't know. I felt like, especially on this episode where like there would have been time, I think you could have cut that stupid world title segment in half. You didn't need all of that and given more time to this. I don't know, but it was still very good. But like both of these guys are definitely capable of more, and we've seen more from them, you know. But again, like, the chemistry is there. Crazy and Lynn, just guys who can fucking work well with anybody, and it showed here even in this match, which was a little disappointing but still really good. So I kind of want to see a pay-per-view match from these two guys and see what they're really capable of. If you give them like 15, 20 minutes, just let them fucking go crazy. Pardon the pun. But yeah, as is, I went 3.25 on it. Still a good match, but these guys are definitely capable of more.
Yeah, I tend to agree. You got Jerry Lynn, who we love, with his ribs wrapped up still, because he always does. But I thought they were really evenly matched. Have we seen them wrestle each other? Have they had a match before?
I don't think so.
I
I
was
can't say for
thinking,
sure. I'd have
like,
to look back, but I don't. I thought it was a first timer.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
don't
it was
remember.
pretty fresh. I don't recall seeing them
Mhm.
because I thought the chemistry was there, and
Mhm.
they're obviously great workers. And great to see Jerry Lynn fucking win a match. Be real
Yeah,
honest with you.
It doesn't look
Yeah.
like we've had them before. I mean, I don't know if they go against
Okay,
them
good.
here, but to date, this is the first time I think we've seen them.
Mhm.
So maybe, hopefully, this could be the start of a series, maybe for Jerry Lynn or for them together. So I need him to work back up to that TV title, though.
Yeah.
I did 3.25. Yeah, 3.25.
Well, it feels like him and RVD. You can't have them fight again unless you're going
No.
to switch it.
No.
But we'll see.
I know.
Like, you
That's what I
can't keep
mean.
losing.
Who knows?
All right, awards real quick on this episode. Best match, I think we just talked about. It's our main event. Worst match, I think we all agree on Spike Rhino.
Yeah.
As well.
Mhm.
Best moment, I went Lynn's cradle pile driver at the end. I thought that was an emphatic finish to that match, and it was a good show. There was a lot of good wrestling, but it was kind of devoid of like big moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm a sucker for that
Yep.
cradle pile driver, and he killed it.
Most 90s, I went Christopher Daniels with hair.
Hair, yep.
Yeah. That's a thing nobody should see.
Rising, I went Nova, Rhino, Daniels, and then Lynn and Crazy, I guess, but their stock's already pretty high. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Jazz, I would add Jazz.
Yeah. That's a good call.
Falling, I went Chetty and Spike. I did not like this.
Or Chetty.
Or Chetty. And then I went 7 out of 10. Again, that was a very good, strong episode. Just the highlight package is cool. Like if you're an ECW fan and kind of relive some of the glory stuff. I thought that was well done. We just didn't get like a big happening, I guess.
Right.
But you get the great match to offset it. Some weeks you don't get anything. So to at least get the great match was cool.
And they're, kind of starting or kind of build to November to remember. So, so I'm going to do 7 out of 10 as well.
Yeah, I went 7 on it. I mean, we still got time before November to remember at this point, so it's not the end of the world that they didn't really start doing anything regarding that yet. So, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to that TNN episode, October 8th, 1999. There we go.
Hey, that was my 17th birthday.
Oh, well, happy.
What a way to spend it. By this
right?
friggin' episode.
Hold up watching TNN about Tammy. 17-year-old me definitely would have been all in on some.
Well,
this would have been your episode for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see, October 99. I wonder if that was Columbus Day weekend. Might have been home from college, fresh sophomore year, I'm guessing.
You want to know how old I was when this episode aired?
Oh, no.
8.
There you go.
You're so young.
I would have been 18, and this was Columbus Day weekend. It's a Friday, so there's a good chance I went home for the long weekend, I'm guessing, from college. So I was probably doing
long weekend, right? Yeah.
There you go. Right. All right, because so on the Friday. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. Paul E. Dangerously narrates a video package showing ECW's female stars, past and present, while talking about the allegations of poor treatment in women in wrestling, similar to child actors. Women in wrestling, the hottest, most provocative TV stars of the late 90s. But the question is, what goes on behind closed locker room doors? The curtain. And tonight, they expose the truth in a story that no other network would broadcast. They ripped the lid off the industry. And Tammy Sytch takes the lid off of pro wrestling exclusively on TNN. I had no memory of this. At the time, completely
That's
over
shocking.
my head. I know, yeah, completely over my head. I mean, maybe I watched it. I don't remember watching it. It might have been a little bit of a buzz about it, but this is something. So let's. I'm gonna go through it. Okay, and then I want your thoughts like on the whole thing because the whole episode is like a couple matches from Anarchy Rules and then all this Tammy stuff. So does
Right.
that work for
Yeah.
you guys if I just kind of buzz
Yeah.
through it all?
Yeah. No,
All
I
right.
like
Yep.
that.
All right, so we get our opening animation. Joey and Joel welcome us in, and it's a historic night ahead. We go back to August 29th when Tammy Sytch beat 98, when Tammy Sytch beat down and stripped Lance Storm's bitch during a Candido Storm match. Of course, it featured Dawn Marie. We then get, which is crazy that Dawn Marie had already been around a freaking year at this point. Still seems like she's like new, doesn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We then get a music video about Tammy. Joey and Joel reset. They take us back to Anarchy Rules. Joel's being very demure and calm tonight while getting his jabs in. We then go to Anarchy Rules for the three-way between Lil Guido, Super Crazy, and Tajiri. We come back. Joel and Joey set up the expose and say, after the break, we get it kicked off. So here we are. Paul narrates the video about Tammy's career. She started with Jim Cornette in Smoky Mountain in 94. And Tammy says she felt on top of the world and really cool. And all through this, it's just kind of Tammy in a solo shot, kind of a classic documentary style where you just hear the, talking off screen, and then she's just kind of solo spotlight talking about things. Paul talks about her transition to Sunny in the WWF, becoming overwhelmed by the business and the adulation she received. Tammy says there's even a website called Tammy's Feet. All pictures of her bare feet dedicated just to her. And then she shows them and says, are they really worth an internet site? I think there's better parts of me to look at, even though I do really like my feet. I feel like this is early adoption by whoever started the site.
Ahead of the game is what it is. Yeah.
These feet guy's been around for a hot minute.
Yeah, but it wasn't like like it is now, where it's a cottage industry.
Yeah,
Back
yeah.
then it was
True.
pretty rare.
It took 7 hours to
Yeah.
download that picture of her fucking feet.
So there you go. Tammy's Feet website picked up. I'm sure.
So you never perused that website?
I could not get websites to load very well at times in the mid 90s on my home computer.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know about web browsers for like a couple of years. I only went on the AOL, whatever AOL had, because my internet was so slow that if I ever tried to open a web page, it wouldn't load. So until I went to college, I didn't know. And my roommate was like, "You never been to One Wrestling or this?"
Never been to
Tammy'sFeet.org?
Tammy'sFeet.org?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Tammy'sFeet.org.
All I know is the AOL homestand, grandstand, whatever the fuck it was called.
I bet that site's still up.
Check it out. All right.
I'm not going to do that.
Anyway,
should probably not.
Tammy's Feet, big hit. Paul says the price of fame was too high. The pressure of being wrestling's hottest sex symbol was too much. Tammy says there are many different reactions in her life to that pressure, whether it's prescription drug abuse like somas, which are widespread amongst the business. Sometimes you can walk in a locker room and they're getting passed out. Paul asks how dangerous somas are. She says a good friend of theirs died from mixing somas and alcohol. Paul asks who it was. Tammy says she's talking about Louis Spicoli. He had a fun night in Los Angeles with friends. He was drinking, taking pills. He fell asleep and never woke up. Actually, woke up at 6 a.m. to turn off his answering machine and then choked to death because he couldn't get out of bed. Was basically paralyzed. Tammy starts to cry. And, of course, she was close with Louis because they all worked together on the Biodonis with Candido when they were doing that angle, Rad Radford. Joey says Tammy's comments got heavier as we go through the show, and she's being honest and courageous. We then go back to Anarchy Rules. Joel's pouting again about Cyrus working with Joey in the pay-per-view. Joey said, we'll take a look at how Dawn and Lance have affected Jerry Lynn's career, but we just get their match, which is Storm and Lynn. We don't really get any kind of expose on that. That's some Anarchy Rules. And then we're going to wrap up with the final Tammy segment. Tammy says by 1997, she was considered old, even though she was only 24. She was called the Click Chick because she was friendly with them. She would make their hotel reservations, but she preferred to be pushed on her own talent, now who she's friends with, dating, sleeping with, eating dinner with. She wants to be herself and be pushed how she could do it. When she left the WWF, a weight came off her shoulders. She was able to relax, have a home, and do what she wanted to do, but she didn't see herself taking advantage of it. Instead, she dug a hole, sat around, relaxed, and did nothing. She finally took her first drink at home, and there were no more pills to make her go to sleep. When her dad passed away, she wanted to go with him. Same with her niece, Stacy, who died at 16. She was in the hospital with her while she was on life support and went cold in her hands, and she couldn't let her go. There were nights she hoped she wouldn't wake up the next morning. Paul asked her to describe what that was like. She says it was the worst feeling in the world to not care about waking up. She says you can talk about Sable, Deborah, the Nitro Girls, Dawn Marie, but she'll set the standard by which every girl in wrestling is judged. Tammy's alive and back. So that's that. I'll say, like, somewhere in here, I think it was a valiant exercise in there somewhere to tell the story of Tammy's revitalization, kicking her habits, and getting back into the wrestling spotlight she's only 25, 26, so plenty of ramp ahead of her. But the way it's presented, 100% felt gratuitous.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at like where this is airing and who's doing it. Like Paul,
Right. Exactly.
of all people, running a locker room that is loaded with drugs and sex and everything else going on, drinking, like just rampant for it, known to be rampant for it. It rings a little hollow, right? It's like, it's not like she's doing this on some AA circuit or like, whatever the Pat Buchanan show, whatever the fuck, right? What's that 700 Club? It's not like she's like doing this somewhere altruistically. Like she's still on here. They promote it on a way that's like a ratings grab on TNN, which they're clearly trying to, be salacious with, right? It's around this time. I'd have to look at the exact date. I can do while you guys are talking, but the Secrets of Pro Wrestling expose came out. All right, Wrestling with Shadows was just the year before. Beyond the Mat is coming soon. We're just in a time where like this stuff for the ratings, like we're 2 years past Melanie Pillman, which is one of the worst ones, where Vince drags her on TV after Brian Pillman died. So, and Owen, like we just did Raw's Owen, like we had a lot going on in this time period, and this felt like, fine goal, but the voice behind it felt a little bit misguided when it's again, it's Paul overseeing a locker room full of misfits. Good for Tammy. She's trying to get back on the horse and come clean, but at the same time, she sounded fucking baked during this whole thing.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did.
Fuck. Yeah. She's, unless she's just fried in general, but like her eyes are barely open. Like she's talking very softly. It felt like, I don't know, like just focus on ECW, like the growth on TNN should be enough on its own. It also felt bait and switch. Like we're going to take the lid off of wrestling, expose wrestling, but you're one of the dirtiest parts of wrestling that's out there. And it's like, what are you really exposing? Your own business. And what does this gain? Like, okay, Tammy's back, but she didn't name any names. Okay, Luis Piccoli died of somas and they're rampant in the WWF. All right, well, Shawn Michaels drugged me, or Scott Hall shit on my purse. Like she doesn't say name, doesn't expose anything. It's like, I was a drug addict, and because wrestling was too much and fans like my feet. like it was just all over the place. So again, the goal to rehab her and give her a podium is fine, but it rings hollow to me in the way they go about it. And also, is she fine? It doesn't seem like it. So then you take advantage of her. Like, so you may think you're giving her a platform, but you're really just enabling her to come back out here and she probably should be fucking far away from wrestling. As great as a mind as and a character as she was, criminally misunderused. Like Chad and I are covering this on Wrestling Warzone, like how she's just being wasted away in her role when she could have been a great announcer, just a manager, anything but what they did with her. So again, a great talent, but at this point, like to come back already, this felt right, especially here where no one's getting paid. Like everyone's, drugged out. Now, if you really want to get altruistic, you could say they're giving her a platform to show she's healthy to get paid somewhere. And spoiler, WCW pays her a kidney to come in, right? So like maybe it was like, hey, like give us some ratings, tell your story, and if we show that you're clean, you'll get that contract you need to get paid, right? So maybe there's a little bit of that in there. So maybe it did help them, but I don't know. It just it just reeked of not good, more than bad, more than good, I should say. So I don't know, Matt. What are your thoughts?
Jesus Christ. Where does one start from this? This was a bad fucking idea from top to bottom, all the way around. Like, just very exploitative, like you were saying, and the stuff with like Paulie just kind of egging her on, trying to get her to answer these questions about like her cousin and all this shit. It's just it felt very like Great Value Jerry Springer, which is kind of what they were going for, and I just think it completely fucking fell flat. So I get what they were trying to do with Tammy, trying to show that, hey, she's rehab, trying to rehab her image, basically, right? But at the same time, you're doing it in a way that one could argue makes just everything about this whole situation look worse. So it's just, it's kind of a mess from top to bottom. And I mean, the fact that, like, looking at it purely from an episode of wrestling TV, the fact that they used this and it took up most of the entire fucking episode is just, what are we doing here? Like, it's like it didn't feel like wrestling to me. It felt like something you would have seen on like ABC at 2020, or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't. It was just like,
that Secrets of Wrestling thing was November of '98. So it was the whole thing, the exposed greatest like wrestling got hot.
Yep.
So of course every tabloid, you know, if you looked at like National Enquirer and Examiner at that time, they were in those, like, it was just part of the culture. So it was like all over the place, and these types of things were they're all the rage, exposés and you know, hidden.
You had people trying to pick it apart. So I mean, I guess in a way they were kind of, you know, a part of that with this thing. At least that's what they were trying to do. But holy shit. And like, we always try to watch this stuff with, you know, 1999 eyes, obviously, but seeing where Tammy is now, like, it's hard to fucking ignore that. And it certainly didn't help watching this.
I mean, this doesn't help her in any way. Like, you know, they go to WCW, they flame out there. I don't know how much ECW she's in. And then that's it. I mean, within the next couple of years, she's doing the porn with Missy Hyatt. And then that's like, I don't think she ever does anything again outside of like guest appearances here and there where she'd pop up, but it gets bad and it stays bad.
So
again,
I mean,
like Candido dies in what, 04, 05? Like, that spirals her. Just a mess. And it sucks because again, the point Paul's making is accurate. Or like, you know, women were treated like dog shit in wrestling, especially at this time. Like, especially like Sunny was used and abused, you know, on a power trip by Shawn Michaels and others, and spit out, right? And God knows what Vince did. So like, it hasn't come out yet really, but it's like, you know, she was put in a position like, you know, porn star. You can compare it to porn, I guess. Right? Is the closest, right? Just treated like absolute shit. But again, it rings hollow when ECW's reputation is not any better for how women were treated there, presented there. You know, on this, within weeks we had a Cat Fight 99, right? It's like it's all the same, right? We're not long from Dreamer, you know, showing Beulah's panties and pile driver, right? It's like all ECW's been the forefront of, you know, abuse of women and treatment of women. And it's not like today, Jen, like, I know you're a big proponent of intergender wrestling, but for you, it's when it's presented as equals, right? Not here where women are beat up by men, but there's never any come up in. So like, you may get the Rogue Francine, you know, carpet muncher or whatever the fuck they call it. Like, right, you get that kind of stuff, but you don't get like, you know, a match between a man and a woman where it's like a true contest, right? Like Masha Slamovich or whatever. You know, this is more just, I mean, again, I'm not going to solely blame wrestling because it was the epidemic of the time. As much as we glorify and love the 90s, like a lot of us that grew up in them, there was this prevalence for this type of violence. So again, it's tough to watch back, Matt, to your point, especially knowing where she ends up. I just could not get past Heyman being the one to do this. It's like Vince doing an expose on, like, you know, the sexual abuse of women in wrestling.
It's the same. It's
awful. It's awful.
So it's a lot.
I'm not saying he did that shit, but he was complicit.
No,
of course. In his business, and in the WWF where he is for years and decades after, managing one of the guys named in the lawsuit, Brock Lesnar, like, you know, or not even just managing him, career tied to him for years and years and years. So a guy that absolutely, you know, is just as shitty as many others in this regard. Like, so for him to sit here, it just reeks of ratings desperation. We're not even a month into TNN.
That's the other thing too.
You have these awesome wrestlers in these matches. Like, why are we doing Tammy exposés? Like, it just sell the shit on VHS if you want to make some fucking
for TNN. It's a channel that's showing fishing shows at 5 in the fucking morning. You're doing this for TNN.
What do you get out of it? If you watch this, I guess maybe you see the matches in between, you're hooked. But like, this doesn't make me feel great. Like, oh, good.
What are you going for here? It's just, it's fucking.
Jenny, what was your take? Because I know a lot of this is newish to you, but
it is, and you know, I really wanted to get what you guys' thoughts were on it, but I mean, I had like a sick feeling kind of watching it. Some of it sympathy, you know, for Tammy, And also, what made her so different? There's tons of women in wrestling get treated like shit too. And like, why is she washed up at 24? Is it just the addiction? Like a lot of these women were on shit and the men in their lives were terrible and, all these things. Um,
I don't
what was
know.
it
Like,
about her
yeah, I don't
that,
know. I don't know why they don't get more out of her. Like, she'd be like,
yeah,
I don't know how much of it has to do with the backstage part. Like,
that's what I was wondering.
basically Candido's getting cucked, right? She's running through
Hmm.
her and Sean. It's like an open thing. Like they know they're
Right.
dating, and she's come out later years and talked all about it.
Mhm.
Right in front of Candido, like they're banging. There's rumors about favors for drugs and her being pilled up, and I'm guessing just backstage she was probably just a complete mess half the time. It was probably
Yeah.
doped up on somas, and
And the
I don't
boys
know.
just went with it, because they got what they wanted,
Right.
whatever
Yeah.
about it. And, you know, it's tough when you talk about this stuff in wrestling, though. It's just because for so long it was the culture of what it was. Like, I wasn't watching it in this time, but even I knew, that's what wrestling is. It's a little dirty, right? It's a little
Mhm.
fucked up, and that's kind of why I like it. But um, Paul's demeanor in the interview was disgusting to me. Like, he was really pushing on her when she was upset and crying, and I I just felt like it was wrong and not great. But she
Mhm.
was well, and I couldn't really get a read on her besides she looked pretty bad. Didn't sound great. It's clear she wanted to be back on top. Um, and she thought this was the way to do it, and that's why she did it. Like, to me, that's
Yeah.
the only thing she
Yeah.
gets out
As
of
I said it,
this.
I kind of convinced myself into thinking I think it was I think it's a trade-off. I think it was just an arrangement to say,
I believe
help us
so,
with the
yes.
ratings, and maybe people Bischoff or whoever sees you clean and you get paid. I'm not gonna fucking pay you shit, but like you might get paid by Vince. Maybe Vince brings you back, he thinks you're clean, or
Mm,
or Bischoff or whoever's gonna be in charge of WCW. I think Russo's in at this point.
Mhm.
Sees you and they give you Tammy can still be a draw and she's clean. Let's bring her in. So that's my thought.
But yeah, but your whole point is she doesn't need to be in any of this. Like, she's still young.
Right.
If she is clean, which I kind of doubted, um, all you're doing is feeding into your own, system of use. People are using you right now, and you're
Mhm.
using them to continue to stay in wrestling when you need to be away from this.
Yeah.
You are. This is not. I mean, she could have parlayed it into whatever. She could have done whatever. Like, it didn't have to be porn,
No,
but
I mean the addiction just crushed
you
her,
know,
and then
yeah, right.
um,
Trying to plug this
I
in.
think that crushed her, and then the Candido thing just like triples down on it. I mean,
Right.
I think
Yeah.
him dying prematurely, super young, and I don't remember if they were even together at that point still, but
I don't
I'm sure
remember.
she had crushing guilt for the years of how she treated him, and he
Oh,
stuck by
I'm
her and
sure.
Oh,
everything
I'm
else.
sure.
So that
Sure.
probably didn't help when he died. His early 30s wrestling. He had just got clean. That was the
Yeah.
worst part about him. Like
Right.
he had kicked
Mhm.
it. He was doing great in TNA. He had this resurgence. And seemed happy. And yeah, it's a sad. The whole thing is a real sad story. And
Yeah.
to see it play
Yeah,
out
it
like
was
this,
sad.
Nope.
is just sucks. So. All right, obviously no awards for best matches. Best moment, I went with the Tammy's feet story. I thought it was pretty
Got to
funny.
be right.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the whole thing.
It's a
Most
lot
90s.
more um, eh, easier to listen to than the
Yeah.
Louis Spicoli story.
Smash cut to
That was
JT
horrible.
furiously Googling Tammy'sFeet.com.
Hell yeah.
She did do a lot of bikini shoots. Most 90s, I went wrestling exposés, just the whole concept.
Oh
Yeah.
We
yeah,
were
for
really
sure.
heating up in the late
Yep.
90s. I gave Tammy Stock Rising just for the credit of her trying to do something and get back on. Whether she's being used or not, she's at least trying to clean up and do something. So I gave her some props for that. And for falling, I gave it to ECW because I thought this was,
Yeah.
this was pretty grotesque use of time. I thought I did
I
not
would
enjoy this
agree.
at all.
Nope.
I
It might
didn't
be my
either.
least favorite thing we've honestly watched.
Oh, it
I don't know if it's my
100%
lowest
is.
graded, but it's my least favorite thing we had to sit through.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Me too. I'm right there with you.
So I mean, I went 4 out of 10, only because I tried to look at the whole episode and it had Lynn and Storm, and Guido crazy Tajiri. So if you didn't see the pay-per-view and you're watching this episode, like those are two awesome matches sandwiched on these two things. So
yeah,
I tried to factor that in. So that's why I didn't give it like fucking 0. If it was only the Tammy shit, it would have been a 0. But I did try and factor in those matches for people that maybe hadn't seen them.
I did not do that, and I just went dud.
Yeah, this was a mess, a complete whiff. So 0 for me on this.
Right. Yeah, it's a rough watch. I'm good if I never see it again, for sure.
Yeah, never. I'm good.
All right, October 9th, 99, Hardcore TV. Paul narrates an opening video saying Dawn will react to Tammy's return as battle lines are drawn, plus RVD's back in action on TV tonight. We get our opening animation. Joey's in the nest, talks about Tammy's return, Dawn going to war to protect her spot. And the next Friday on TNN, Candido will take on Lance Storm, and things could explode. We then revisit Awesome versus Rhino from TNN. We talked about that on our last episode. It was great. Joey then talks about Tammy's return. We get a highlight montage. Joey says she's defeated her demons and wants her spot back. And Dawn Maria's take it as a declaration of war, and she won't give up her spot. Joey narrates a Dawn highlight package and wonders if she's a brainless bimbo or just laying a trap for Tammy. And we'll find out when we go to battle in ECW. So, Jenny, any kind of thoughts on that first half of stuff? This is a really quick episode.
No, I mean, I didn't really have any notes. Basically, we got the Dawn Marie video, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, most of this episode is not much. So,
all right. So we roll on from there. We got highlights of Dreamer and Tajiri back from TNN. Joey's in the nest. He talks about Dreamer and Raven's bizarre partnership. We see the end of their tag title match against Corino and Rhino from the pay-per-view. Joey then talks about their recent tragic incident with Darren Drozdoff breaking his neck. He says sometimes the industry gets so big, you forget about the little things, like the great people you meet and get to know along the way. Everyone in ECW wishes a speedy recovery to Droz. Of course, that happened in a SmackDown taping right around this time where D'Lo Brown went to give a powerbomb. D'Lo kind of basically lost his grip. Droz dropped back and broke his neck. Ended up as like quadriplegic. I think he ended up getting regaining some stuff, like feeling back in his hands, I think, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
To his credit, always kept a positive attitude afterward, became kind of an advocate, and, famously told D'Lo, like, it's not your fault. Like he forgave him. And then he passed away, I'm going to say within the last 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so sucked. Droz, of course, had a brief cup of tea with us here in ECW. We then get RVD versus Balls Mahoney from the pay-per-view. Joey's in the nest says 6 years ago, NWA ECW presented November to Remember for the first time and has become their biggest pay-per-view of the year. It goes down November 7th. Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka for the ECW title has been signed. And if Tanaka wins, he has to honor one commitment in Japan. If he retains, he'll then remain in ECW for as long as he is champion. If he loses, whoever wins the ECW title will take that spot. So Joey tells fans to log on to the website on Tuesday night to be the first to see the location and venue for November to Remember. And hypes Awesome Tanaka, says the international press will have their eyes glued. And we get a music video. So I gave this the customary 5 out of 10. Most 90s draws his injury. But any thoughts on the final stretch there?
I'm glad we're getting Awesome and Tanaka again in a rematch. I'm very hyped for that. But I mean, other than that, there was fuck all on this episode.
Yeah, it was a pretty lame one, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be building to a pay-per-view, I do believe.
Yeah.
And then they've added this stuff with the title and Japan, and I don't know how I feel about that. But I guess it'll be fine. So I guess 5 out of 10 sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's go with that. The usual for one of these episodes, 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much. Again, you get some classic matches if you haven't seen them. Like, I try and always keep that in mind. But obviously for us, it doesn't really hit the spot too much. All right, so let's get to the last episode of television we're going to cover here tonight. It's the October 15th, 99 episode of ECW on TNN. Chris Candido is back yet again. Is he been the guy that's gone and come back the most for us? It has to.
He's got to be up there.
I mean, it feels like it's been a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we happy about this?
I mean, it can't get much worse than the last time he was on, so.
I mean, I like Candido, but I
do
think
too.
like from a creative standpoint, I don't know how much more was left. Like I was kind of done with him when he left.
Yep.
Um, it's just also
Bring it like
sad. Like he should be doing
yeah.
stuff elsewhere. The whole thing with him and Tammy's fucked up, so it brings memories of that. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems like a bad situation all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, they feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of risk, very little reward.
Well, it's
here
just like he
with
comes
these
back
two.
and he jobs all the time. So I don't know. I guess it's a
Yeah.
payday, is a name. He doesn't seem to give a
Yeah.
shit, but if he comes back, it doesn't go anywhere most of the time.
No.
So he's out with Tammy. They're all smiles. They're going to chat with Joey and Joel. We get a plug. We can see more of Tammy on the website. Lance and Dawn hit the ring to a pop. They're all staring each other down. Storm says he saw Tammy's little confession on TNN, and it's good to see she has now realized she's a has-been at 26, but most of us knew it a year ago when you were just 25. It's a shame because Candido's got some talent, not a lot, but it was enough for Storm to carry him for a year and a half. But there's no room in ECW for has-beens, and they can revert back to their old habits and take a powder. That was quite the line.
Yeah.
Candido says the only
Canadian.
way they take a powder is if Storm makes them. Tammy says Lance can get out of here and take his prostitute with him. Storm throws down, and we are on. Tammy chases Dawn around the ring as officials separate while Storm and Candido brawl, Matt. So what did you think of this opening segment? Kind of reigniting the old champions we had Storm and Candido for a while. They're going at it, and now Tammy and Dawn kind of getting their shit back on.
I'll say this, at least there's an added wrinkle to it with Tammy and Dawn being back in the fold, but otherwise it's like, Jesus Christ, they've been on again, off again for like 3 years at this point. It's like, just fuck already. Like, what are we doing? Like, God, it's ridiculous. So, I mean, the matches will be good. I'm fairly confident in saying that. I mean, Candido's very talented in the ring, and Lance Storm is Lance Storm, but I mean, gee, it's literally been like 2 years of this. It's like, just end the feud already. Like, you're bringing Candido back to with Storm again. Like, have him do something else.
I'm confused why Candido left. Like, isn't there WCW runs in 2000? Isn't it? So, like, why did he even leave the first? I don't know. Was it stuff going on with them at home? Like, I guess I don't know where he goes.
Because he jobbed out to Taz in like a minute at that pay-per-view, and then he like disappears right after that, right?
Yeah, and they never really finished the Tammy Dawn stuff because that started last year with the Dawn bitch and Tammy Sytch and Tammy bitch and Tammy Sytch. I'm looking quick.
It had to be some other shit going on, like behind the scenes, personal wise, would be my guess.
Yeah,
they both just disappear for like months.
Yeah, I mean, his Wikipedia doesn't have much. You'd have to look at his cage match and stuff, but
no.
I mean, he's done. This is it. Like, he's not around much more,
right?
And he's done. So, and then they do go to WCW,
and even then, he's not there for long. He's not in WCW for.
No, they're only there like 3 months.
Yeah,
June. They come in March. They're going in June, pretty much. And then he goes indie stuff, New Japan for couple years on and off, and then TNA. He's only in TNA for 4 months, and then he dies.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah, sucks. Anyway, all right. I feel like we've dragged this episode down enough with these two. We get our nation. Joey and Joel welcome us to Houma, Louisiana, and throw us right to our first match, and that is Tom Marquez taking on Kid Cash. And Marquez grabs the arm to start. Joey reminds us he's the most recent graduate from the House of Hardcore. Cash wriggles free. We go into a series of chain work encounters. Cash hammers away in the corner. Rhino and Corino run to the ring. Rhino hits both guys with gores. Rhino and Corino are wearing Falcons jerseys, and Corino has the mic, and he is laughing. So I went no grade on this match. It's kind of just more of a quick segment. We can get to what happens with the segment in a second, but any quick thoughts on the match itself?
I mean, it was fine, I guess, for what it was.
Yeah,
it was like 2 minutes, but it was nothing really.
Before typical Tom Marquez match.
Yeah, whatever that is.
All right. Corino said he heard there are 2 professional football players from the Saints in town. And we see Kyle Turley and Josh Wilcox in the crowd. They're playing it up. Corino calls them losers. Rhino wants to kick the fuck out of both of them. Rhino sprints to the railing, and the Saints hop over. They start to brawl, a big pop. Security pulls them apart as Joey says the Falcons got their first win of the season last Sunday against Ditka's Saints. It was humiliating, and Rhino and Corino have used that to start a fight. Things cool down as Tommy Dreamer is out to help prevent ECW from getting sued by the NFL. He says their lawyers are busy enough. Corino says Tommy has to save the day for stupid football players and asks if everyone's had enough of Tommy playing hero. Wilcox rips up Rhino's Falcons jersey as Corino says he would destroy Tommy and end his career for good. And that'll bring us to our match. But any quick thoughts on that fight before we get to the match itself?
It was pretty well done. I mean, Corino is really good at, like, you know, egging people on and getting them pissed off. So it's a good use of him. Another return says, I just went to the Saints and Falcons game. So I was like, this is weird. Yeah, the Tommy Dreamer stuff. Tommy just always seems to show up to, like, be the hero of everything. So of course he wanted to show up here. And I don't know, it was a fun segment. Just kind of continuing their story and getting a couple of famous football players on the show.
Yeah, that was the thing I like. I always like it when they go to like City X and they get someone in the crowd involved for whatever reason. That just type of thing always works for me, and I thought it was pretty good here, especially considering it was two just fucking behemoths who played for the Saints that they're fucking with. So that was very fun to see. But yeah, we're continuing on this whole Dreamer Corino thing, and he's sick of Dreamer being the hero. You guys, he's gonna be sick for a long fucking time if he's waiting for that to change.
All right, that brings us to our match. That is Tommy Dreamer versus Steve Corino. After a break, Tommy shoots Corino hard over the railing into the third row. Tommy drags him to the crowd. He batters him as Joel says Tommy's a bully that has to fight outside because he can't hang in the ring. Francine watches from the ring as Tommy drags Corino around, tries to dump him off the bleachers, but Corino gets a low blow. Corino hangs Tommy off the side and slugs him, and he falls to the floor. Corino works Tommy over again as they head back toward ringside, crotching him on the railing. And then putting a tripod over his head and hammering on him. Tommy fights him off and shoots him back to ringside, smacks him with the tripod. Back in the ring, Corino tries to escape over the top rope, but Tommy pulls his tights down and whacks him in the bare ass with a chair. That was a pretty funny spot. Tommy then takes Corino down to superplex, but Steve's ass is still hanging out. Corino comes back with a leg lariat, jumps around celebrating victory, finally tells him to fix his tights. Joey says Corino had 32 digital squares sticking out of his butt, and Joey gives Joel props to that joke. The crowd rallies Tommy as he pulls himself up with the ropes, but Steve jabs him in the back with a chair and hammers away. Corino sits in the chair and hooks a front chancery, which is funny. Tommy punches free, spikes Corino into the chair. Corino blocks the DDT and he trips Tommy hard into it. Corino slugs the ref for getting in his face, but he whiffs on a charge. Tommy hits a Spicoli driver. Says he wants to break Corino's back. Tommy goes into a tarantula, and Jack Victory's on the apron. Francine's in to block him and kicks him in the head. That knocks Victory back down. Tajiri's out. Hits a baseball slide to save Corino. Tajiri grabs Francine, but she goes low and slaps him. Francine ducks a buzzsaw kick and runs away as Victory is holding a bleeding Tommy. In comes Raven. He knocks Corino off the top rope. Tommy hits a DDT on Victory. Tajiri's in and kicks Raven, but Raven DDTs Tajiri to a pop. Raven then drops Tommy with a DDT and sits in the corner smirking as Corino covers. And but Tommy then turns it into an inside cradle and steals the win. So usual fuckfest with these guys. The crowd was digging it. There was no slowing down. Some fresh spots mixed in with the bare ass, the tarantula. Raven's back attack backfires. He keeps torturing Tommy, but Tommy still gets the win. And the chaos toward the end was pretty smooth as well. So I went 3 stars, Jenny. That was a pretty entertaining match, one that probably was better than it had any right to be.
Yeah, the Corino is fun. He just, that the whole ass segment was really good. It's like they can wrestle and then do like a couple little, funny spots or little comedic stuff in there, and it works. Raven, I don't know, man. I just don't really. I'm frustrated about Raven's only contribution to this is coming in to DDT everybody.
Right.
Like, I just feel like I wish there was more there. You wait for it, you count on it, and on all these matches, it's never a surprise. It's never anything different. I don't know. It's just what Tommy Dreamer and Raven are.
Double, right? So
Yeah.
we're seeing it. We're seeing it more than we would have maybe a year ago when it was like, all right, it's done. It's been a month. Now, like a month is like 8 times, right? Versus plus the pay-per-view versus just like, maybe a few times. So we have Raven's only been back since the debut on TNN, which is like what 5 weeks I think of our time in the show. It feels like we have seen this at least like 7 or 8 times now. So it's
it's
a lot compressed into this time period of the same thing.
Especially when like you're trying to move, I guess, along with the Tommy Dreamer Corino story. You put Tajiri in there now, and it just feels like it keeps going back. It feels like all the finishes keep going. But at least Tommy did win this one. So to me, that's pretty great because usually he's the loser. So that's why I bumped it to 3 for the Tommy win. Maddie.
Yeah, I went 3 stars on it too. I enjoyed a lot of this match. Very fun stuff. The Greco-Roman chair shot to the asshole was very funny to me, but just very. And to Jenny's point, where the fuck are we going with this Dreamer Raven thing? I know it's only been 5 weeks, but come on, let's do. I feel like
I'm stuck in this loop.
I feel like we should get Dreamer Raven November to Remember all time throwback, but it doesn't seem like we're getting there.
So. Or just, a brawl, something besides Raven fucking DDTing him in every match. It's just, we need the next step here to this storyline. It's been a month and a half or however long it's been. It's like, okay. Things usually move for the most part relatively quickly in ECW, and for whatever reason, fucking Dreamer and Raven just isn't. So I don't understand it. I mean, Raven was red hot when he came back, and since he's come back, he's just been DDTing Dreamer or whoever, and it's been nothing else besides that. So we need more than that. But as for the match, I really enjoyed the match. It was very fun. It was your typical Dreamer brawl with, he had the fucking tripod on the camera tripod on his head at one point. That was pretty good. So, and Corino's been great for a long time now. So 3 stars for me.
All right, Joey takes us to our big match. Joel's remained pretty quiet again here in the nest on these last few TNNs. But that match is Lance Storm taking on Chris Candido. Storm and Dawn Marie head out. We hear from Fonzie and Sabu in the locker room. Pretty generic promo. Candido and Tammy come down. After a break, we're right into Storm laying in heavy chops. Candido turns them around. They end up trading more chops. Candido goes to the eyes. We go right into a quick flare of counters. Candido clothesline. Hammers away in the corner, turns into a Storm spin kick. Storm hammers away, kicks at the head. Candido recovers with a swinging neck breaker and a huge top rope leg drop. Storm comes back with a jawbreaker, a clothesline, and a back elbow into a baseball slide. Candido slumped in the corner. Storm barks at Tommy and turns into a very impressive Candido delayed vertical suplex for good near fall. Candido peppers away, shoots Storm hard to the corner, slugs him to the floor, meets him with a top rope plancha. Candido shoots Storm to the railing, chops away, but Storm finally turns the tide. He throws Candido ribs first to the railing, knocks him to the fans. Storm drags him back over. Back inside is the springboard clothesline for 2. Joey reminds us of Lance's infatuation with Tammy that broke this team up with Candido back in the day. Storm heads up top. Tammy crotches him. Candido hammers away. Gets a perfect top rope superplex. He goes up for a swan dive headbutt as Just Incredible and Jason are down. Dawn breaks up the pin. Tammy's right in on after her. We get our cat fight. Jason drags Tammy off and grinds his dick into her face, but she goes low. That sets up a DDT, but Dawn smacks Tammy with her purse. Storm and Candido start to brawl again. Credible canes Candido, and Storm finishes with the cradle pile driver. The chemistry is surely there. These guys still have it. Super hot, fun match with a nice story and flow. The end is what you figured. I mean, Candido wasn't winning. We get the brief throwdown with the ladies, not the full boat between them. So I'm sure we're building toward Tammy versus Dawn somehow, either a mixed tag or whatever. Credible helps. The usual Impact players win. They never lose. We'll see if Candido and Tammy stick around or if this is a one night thing. So Matt went 3 1/4 though. I mean, these guys still have it. They've had great solo matches before, great tag stuff, and it's one of ECW's kind of most underrated best talents.
I mean, it's a good match. I went 3 stars on it, but man, I find myself just not really caring about any of this. Like, we've seen it all before. It's like, I don't know. Is Gentleman's 3 a thing? Can I use that as a star rating? Because that's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's good, but fuck, man, we've seen it for years at this point. And again, it's all very good, but it's like and I do feel like kind of similar to the Jerry Lynn Super Crazy thing. They're capable of better, these 2 guys. So it's like it's on the lower half of the good stuff we've seen from them. So I don't know. This is just like I'm watching it and it's very good, but it's like, man, I kind of just want this good match to be over, which is not a feeling one should ever have watching wrestling. Is that this is great, but I'm kind of done with it. It's just So, gentleman's 3, I guess, is where I landed on this, Jenny.
Exact same feelings. You know, it was it's what they like. I don't know. I've seen this match a billion times. I could tell you when the cap out was going to happen. I could
Right.
tell you when fucking Just Incredible is going to come out and cane everybody. The cradle pile driver was an interesting finisher for Storm.
Mm,
But yeah, to me, I thought the cap out was terrible. Tammy did not look good.
no.
Um, uh, it was a half-hearted attempt. To me, if this is what you want to do, if you are serious about wanting to be back on top, this shit ain't going to do it. This
Mm.
is sloppy. It doesn't look good, and she barely even could get her arms around Dawn Marie to throw her on the ground. Like, I don't know. It didn't really. That part didn't really work for me at all. So I kind of dinged it quite a bit. I did 2 3/4 on it.
All right. Well, again, we'll see how much of them we have. I mean, you're not wrong on the Tammy stuff. It just seems to completely, again, like that makes seeing her out there makes it even worse. What we went
It
through.
does. It
Yeah.
kind of confirms what
Clearly
we
not okay.
thought.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, we got an ECW World Title match here tonight as Mike Awesome takes on our old buddy Ramblin' Rod Price. God bless, still with us. He's got a new manager called the Raging Cajun, who
Yeah.
looks like Joe
liked
Dirt
it.
/ Kid Rock.
Yeah.
I don't
Slash
know.
Jake Williams.
I'm guessing this was like maybe a local guy someone knew and brought in or some shit. Like, I don't think he's ever around beyond this.
Lame.
Joel says he's the mayor of Huma, and says to be a 5-star hotel here, you just need a door on the outhouse. Joey hugs the free merchandise catalog. Our champion stalks the ring with Jeff Jones. Price gets in Awesome's face, starts throwing wild bombs. Awesome ducks a clothesline, gets a shoulder block. He knocks Price outside. Joel reminds us that Awesome tore both ACLs in the past. Hits a tope. Rod shoots Awesome to the rail, then whips him into a side Russian leg sweep. Joey thinks Rod may be more powerful than Awesome. Joel hypes up his performance in a recent national weightlifting competition and his extensive history in wrestling, his time in the NFL with the Raiders and Chargers. Joey says the Saints could have used him last week. Again, referencing that tough loss to the Falcons. Awesome comes back with a released German and a clothesline. The Falcons are coming off the Super Bowl. And then calls for a table from Jones. Awesome lands a big boot, sets up a table as the Cajun is useless at ringside. Awesome loads Price up, power bombs him through the table. Cajun's in, he throws some punches, shows off the Cobra, but Mike Awesome slugs him down and power bombs him through a table at ringside. They got a big pop. He is dead. Joel says to call Cajun's mother, sister, and wife, and it won't take long because they're all the same person. Awesome then finishes with a top rope splash. And this is the usual fun, awesome spectacle beatdown. Price hung in. Is a good choice for this. This is a perfect guy to take this shit kicking from Awesome. So I went 2 1/4, Jenny. Our champion continues to stay red hot.
2 1/4 for me too. I enjoyed this a lot. Like I like the Raging Cajun guy. Anybody that Mike Awesome can bomb into a table, that's fine with me. When he called for the table, Jeff Jones kind of slid it over the top rope and it came down and it still had the legs sitting up. And for a moment, I thought Mike Awesome was going to whip him into the fucking legs of the table.
Looked like it.
I was like, wait a minute now. So that was like, whew. I don't even think ECW would do that, but I love the Awesome splash. This is just fun as hell, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went 2 stars on it. First of all, Jake is the only Raging Cajun I recognize. That's number one. And also, the ECW Raging Cajun took a better Awesome bomb through a table than fucking Rod Price did. Good.
Well, that's like older and broken down. Cajun's probably some radio guy or some shit.
That slug. Rod Price getting a world title shot. What a world we live in. But yeah.
Shit talk, Rod.
Mike Awesome just
when he's on my ECW top 50 at the end of this podcast series.
Holy shit. I will not doubt that at all.
Let's
top 30.
Let's not say things we don't mean. But
right up there with the Bruise Brothers.
Yeah, and fucking Damian Kane. Mike Awesome unloading all his offense was fucking great as always, even on that slug Rod Price who doesn't know how to take a table bump. So 2 stars for me.
That slug. Come on.
How dare you talk Ramblin' Rod Price down. Joey and Joel are in the nest. They hype November to Remember, which will happen in Buffalo at the Burt Flickinger Center on 11/7, and everyone's talking about Awesome and Tanaka. The Impact players are backstage. They talk some shit. Dawn says she's running everyone out of town. She's a star. Storm says it's a business. The more people they eliminate, the more impact they make. It's not just a name or moniker. It's their way of life and what they do. Incredible wraps them up. And then it's been a minute, but we head to a little Pulp Fiction. We meet the Baldys here tonight. That is Angel, Skull, and DeVito. They just introduced themselves. So there you go. More to come on them. Raven wandering around Bourbon Street with random people at 5:30 in the morning, talking about decadence and inequity around him. All the filthy animals and sinners following him, and he realizes one thing: it's better to have a condemned soul than no soul at all. Miss Congeniality is here. She makes sexy eyes at us and clips her toenails. Doring says. Tries to get her to realize she's on camera, but she doesn't care. She just asks if her nose is clean. Doran gives up and calls out Chetty and says he told him to double cross Nova and he didn't listen, and now he's hurt and Nova's alone. Geniality gets kind of horny. She wants to go fuck. Roadkill says chickens. Raven's on the street, starts to talk. Some kid rambles and he tells him to shut up. All these sinners and idiots are Tommy's fans and he feels their pain. Raven laughs and they all start to laugh around him, which is pretty funny. Axel and Balls are backstage. They talk about being the top team in ECW. They'll use a chair as they need. Spike Dudley's backstage just looking at his hands, giggling, clearly on some sort of acid trip. The Baldys yet again introduce themselves. New Jack is in a parking lot. He says at 5 years old, he watched his dad shoot his mom and decided that in his life, he'd be given an opportunity or he would take it. Fonzie's, that's kind of Barry's quite the lead there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
A little bit.
Fonzie is with RVD, who talks about being November to Remember season, says everyone can count on their favorite wrestler to defend the TV title, but doesn't have an opponent yet. But Fonzie's in charge of his affairs, so he must know. Jerry Lynn cuts in. He says in 2 years, no injury has stopped him. Corino comes in and says, stop crying. Everyone works hurt. And then he walks away. Lynn thanks the fans for their support. He says he takes no crap from anyone. Takes his glasses off and then follows Corino through the halls. I love this fucking glasses. He's such a nerd. He walks in on Miss Congeniality in a towel, screams at him, and then he finds Corino. Tajiri's hiding behind the door. He kicks Lynn down, kicks him in the ribs. Corino's talking shit, and they leave laughing. Raven walks and laughs and mocks Tommy, talking about sinners, and no one cares or worries, like Tommy killing himself for the people. They don't care about Tommy. They just want to leech on to Raven's stardom. He's a piece of crap. He's lived his life, and he gets what he gets. RVD says Sabu deserves to get his ass beat, and Fonzie can get the winner's money, and some of Sabu's losers' money as well. That was a great line. New Jack says he doesn't go to the gym. He just wants to commit crimes and run from the police to get into shape. Tajiri talks in Japanese. Joel says he can't agree with Tajiri more. He should be an attorney. Joey asks what he said, and Joel says, just like a bad Japanese dub. New Jack says he knows nothing but violence and hardcore and beating ass, and he's on a mission. RVD says he'll take on any loser at November to Remember. And he always wins and gives his money's worth. He's Mr. Pay-Per-View, and he tells Fonzie to bring anyone he wants. So it's our first TNM Pulp Fiction. I thought it was a pretty good one. Raven on the Street is pretty funny with all the skeets and boogaloo's. A lot going on there. And, some good early hype for November to Remember, which is getting late early for that show. It's just a couple weeks away. So, Jenny, what did you think of this Pulp Fiction?
I kind of really liked this. Like, it was a good link because I missed these little Pulp Fictions. And it's a really cool way to just kind of hit some quick promos, see some cool things. Raven on Bourbon Street is awesome. And I love that Bourbon Street always looks the same. No matter what area you're in, it just looks like that. The Baldies, don't know nothing about these guys, but if your name is Skull, you're pretty cool.
Well, we know Skull. It's Skull Von Krusch.
Skull Von Krusch, but and then it's a big episode for feet for us, you guys. So we get Miss Congeniality, messing with her toenails, so that was a little bit weird. But and then Roadkill pretending like her feet were smelly. Okay, that was a little dumb.
Well, I guess the gimmick is that she's like a gross skis, right?
Gross, yeah.
Yeah. Even though like she's hot and Doran plays her up like she's fantastic, but she's actually kind of nasty. So.
Raven was giving me Brian Pillman energy from from Bourbon Street. Like I thought he kind of resembled him a little bit, and it just was very Pillman-esque for me.
I think Raven could have changed his gimmick a little bit here into more of a crazed pillman. Like maybe he went to WCW
Yeah.
and it drove
Yeah.
him crazy, and now he's like a madman instead of being like a psychological guy. Like I know they brought him in because this Raven character obviously was very successful in ECW before, but it's a good idea. Like they could have had him be, or like you said, Jenny, a good comp. Like he has that pillman energy. Maybe it would have been better if he was more of like a kind of manic guy now or something. There's something different than what he was before.
Have Raven wrestle a giant pencil out of nowhere. That'd be great.
Well, he'd have to do more in the fucking ring than he's doing now if he's gonna have that kind of fucking gimmick.
Yeah.
Good to see Axel and Balls again, real quick. RVD, is it his way of like challenging Sabu? Like is he finally decided he wants to fight Sabu?
Yeah,
Like
he's kind of been trolling him a bit, right? Leading up to
right
here and there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's him basically saying, "Look, I got no one. I'll fight Sabu if you want me to. Like, let's go." You know.
Yeah. But my favorite part was Jerry Lynn. It was awesome. When he had his glasses on, I was like, he's gonna take those glasses off. And Corino was perfect in this role. Like, just came in there, fucked with him real quick, and then hold my glasses. I fucking fell out. It was amazing.
There was a classic '90s glasses too. The big fucking.
The Coke bottle lenses. Yeah.
Oh, he's so good. But then he just goes to the locker room, gets his ass beat after walking in on that girl. That was great. All that was wonderful. Like, this is the part of ECW that I miss. Like, this kind of stuff. So, 5 stars on the Pulp Fiction for me this time around. And New Jack. Oh my God. He's like, I wrote, Dad shot his mom. What the fuck?
Yeah,
like, I don't.
Yeah.
To me, I couldn't tell. I was like, that might be real, or he is just being New Jack. Like, he could just be making this shit up. But me too, New Jack. All I want to do is fucking commit crimes and run from the cops.
Yep.
Break crimes.
This was very good. You ever been on Miss Congeniality Feet's website?
Oh.
I'm sure this is the website, Matt. I don't think that's that crazy to assume.
Yeah. You missed Danny Doring had a great insult to Nova. He called Nova superhero boy, which was just I mean,
fucking nerd.
Need some ice for that fucking burn. New Jack's dad killed his mom. We gonna unpack that? No, we're just gonna move on to just gonna fucking.
He said like we all know it's part of his lore, but I mean, man, I don't remember hearing about that one.
I don't. Oh, I would have remembered that in a New Jack promo.
Bruce Wayne's parents were shot, and New Jack's dad killed his mom. It's not like just gonna fucking breeze, right?
And he watched it. It's not this that he killed her.
He saw it as a child.
I watched my dad shoot my mom.
I watched my dad shoot my mom.
Does this mean New Jack is New Jack Batman? Is that what we're doing here?
I remember Denzel's friend shooting his mom.
That's not what happened.
Shooting his mom. Denzel's friend's dad.
Raven just telling that random guy to shut the fuck up on
that was awesome.
Also fantastic. So yeah, this was very very good and very very fun. It ate a decent amount of time on this episode, but it was fucking worth it. Just fantastic stuff.
All right, awards time. Best match. I went Candido and Storm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
Yeah, begrudgingly.
Worst match. I mean, I just put Marquez Cash, even though it wasn't really a match. I guess.
No.
I mean, there's a Rod Price match right there. You could
shut up. There's a couple options for best moment, but I went with the bare ass chair shot. I thought that was really creative.
That was really good.
Really, really funny.
There's a lot on this episode.
Corino's the perfect guy to take that too.
Yeah, perfect for him.
It's tough.
I don't know. I gotta go with Jerry Lynn, man.
Yeah, I think I gotta go with Raven telling that random dude to shut the fuck up. That was very funny to me.
Most 90s, I went Kyle Turley and Josh Wilcox of the
show. Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah.
Stock Rising, Storm, Corino, Candido, awesome, and I give Raven at this. You know, we shit on him last episode. This is a pretty good bounce back for Raven.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
Let's just do this. Let's have him walk the streets of major cities and
that's what I want. Yeah.
Put him on fucking
something like
Times Square or some shit.
Yeah, let him walk around being an asshole.
I mean,
Stock Falling. I went Marquez, Cash, and the Raging Cajun.
Oh, poor Cajun.
He sucked.
How dare you?
Thought he was fun.
Final grade, I very good episode. I went 7.5
Yeah.
out of 10. I mean,
Yeah, me too.
the awesome match was good. Storm Candido was good. Even that opening promo was, if you could put aside the Candido Sunday Sadness, was good. The Raven, Pulp Fiction, all of it was entertaining. So it's a strong, nice bounce back. TNN from the Tammy debacle. So
Totally.
Right.
this to me is more engaging if you're trying to win fans. Like
For sure.
Yeah,
I'm much
100%.
inclined to watch after this.
Yeah.
So, all right. That'll do it for us. We'll be back in 2 weeks with 3 more episodes of ECW Television. We're making our way toward November to remember. Sure, check out everything here at the North-South Connection. Jenny Position Wednesdays. All of Jenny's content, you can find it there. Matt, of course, one of the main voices over on the Backbone Wrestling Podcast Network as well. So you can subscribe to that. So check out everything. You can find us on social media, find links to all these great things. And want to thank you for your support. We're having a great, happy and healthy final month of the year here, heading into the holidays. And we'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Stay extreme. We're out. Time for a bare ass chair shot.